All right, this is a first for Big Al's Bike and Auto here. Going live, and nobody's watching right now, but that may change. I don't have much battery, so I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be able to do this, but for those of you who tune into this after the fact, here in Miami, if you haven't heard, we have a highway shutdown, a protest, and you can see right there evidence of why. It's a Cuban protest, and I've never seen this sight in my life here in Miami. The Expressway 826, Palmetto, south and northbound, just north of Bird Road, completely shut down all the way to US 1. I've been here for a few hours now, and I've watched this kind of unfold. I work from home. I live down the street, and started hearing helicopters, and that's not an uncommon thing here in Miami, but started hearing helicopters, and my curiosity took over, and I came out here and came over to this pedestrian bridge, which not many people know about, over the Palmetto here. And sorry about the focus issues. It's the chain link fence that messes it up, and the rain. So if you're just joining me now, I know I got 4 people in here. Got a highway shutdown here in Miami right next to my house. It is the protest in solidarity with Cuba that's taking place here on the Palmetto. Not offering any opinion or anything like that, just merely showing what's going on. I've been here filming for hours right down the street from my house. And so right now, kind of inactive. Easy to see this. I mean, 826 is essentially the artery of Miami-Dade. This highway connects really everybody and everything. I think it's even more important than 95 and the Turnpike, at least for Miami. The central artery, and it's completely empty, at least looking southbound here after Coral Way. Now you can see we got another unmarked coming up the exit ramp here. Sorry about the focus here. I think I got to keep this thing just against the fence. Maybe even more. Got another one coming with sirens. So I've been here now. Okay, now we get some people coming in. If you're just tuning in now, my first live stream, 826 Palmetto Expressway here in Miami, completely shut down south of Coral Way, backed up on Coral Way for a protest in support of what's happening in Cuba, people rebelling against the communist regime. Not offering any opinion about this form of protesting, just merely showing you all what's going on. I live right over here, so I work from home, and hours ago I started hearing helicopters and sirens, and not an uncommon thing here in Miami, but I poked my head out to see what was going on, saw the copters over the expressway here, figured a bad accident had happened, but came to find this and started chatting with some friends who knew what was going on. So next video is getting uploaded. I was actually editing the next video for the channel, the usual car content, and started hearing all this ruckus and came over here to see. Never thought I'd be here this many hours later. I mean, I've been getting soaked. It's been raining all day. I've got a towel, got my sun shield thing, but you can see, just thought this would be interesting for some of you to watch, and especially those of you who follow me and live here in Miami-Dade. I can't really zoom in on live, but if you look, up ahead to the left, all the cop cars lined up. This is a first, for Miami-Dade. We've never had an expressway shutdown like this, aside from hurricane evacuations. But just take a look. We're looking southbound here toward Bird Road. Completely empty. And when I got here, this was an absolute mess. You had cars, some were trying to go north, and this has been bottlenecked like this for hours. There's a Target truck way up there I've been kind of using to keep a track on traffic. He has maybe moved a couple hundred feet since 4 o'clock. So just something you don't see every day. And as I was saying at the start of this live stream, again, for those of you just joining now, complete expressway shutdown, Palmetto Expressway 826 here in Miami-Dade. This is crazy, and the reason for it is a protest to show solidarity and support for the people in Cuba who are fighting against the communist regime they live under. Certainly can understand that. Again, not giving an opinion on how I feel about highway protests, especially here in America, where the crisis isn't happening necessarily. But it is happening, and I'm here observing it. So what's going on up there at Coral Way, for those of you who know Miami, there is a demonstration. I don't know how many people, but they've had the highway completely shut down now since like 2 o'clock. And I've been out here since maybe 3 o'clock. So they've kind of got things under control finally in terms of traffic flow on the highway. Now, it's not flowing. It's completely backed up, as you can see. But before, you still had people entering the expressway that were trying to head northbound, and it was just crazy. You had a state trooper over here that was directing people off, heading the opposite direction onto that entry ramp. You had some people were somehow, like this guy here in the Accord, they're still somehow slipping through the cracks, very few and far between. But unfortunately, I probably should have live streamed it earlier, but I was just taking actual footage, and I'll probably upload it to the channel for those who live in Miami-Dade to see, because I've got a very unique perspective here. Amelia asked who organized the protest. Just some Cuban citizens of Miami who are showing support for what's happening down in Cuba right now, the protesting of the communist regime. I heard from one of my Cuban friends that the guy who started this today was actually one of the individuals who was trying to take a boat down to Cuba with supplies, and the Coast Guard wouldn't let him. And I think this was kind of their way of saying, F you, we want to. And again, whether you support this kind of activity or not, that's beside the point. I'm just showing you what's going on here. I wish I could get a closer look, but I do have a pretty unique viewpoint here. This pedestrian bridge next to my neighborhood, not many people know about it. So I've been up here for hours. At one point, the media was up here getting footage. So here's Joe Perez. What's going on, Joe? Thanks for joining the stream. I was hoping you would. Joe is one of my local subscribers, good friend of mine, who actually met because of YouTube. And so Joe lives in South Dade. Well, not in South Dade. We'll get in an argument over that. But he lives south of here. And so, Joe, I hope you were working from home today, because if not, well, I don't know. I guess you work over here, so you maybe be stuck for a little bit. But I couldn't tell you. I know they're redirecting everybody onto the turnpike, but I doubt many counter-protesters will show up. I don't know what's going on. All I know is more and more police keep rolling in. It's just cool to be up here with this kind of bird's eye view. Do I have a spare bed? Joe, for you, of course I do. You just have to sleep with all my cats because they've kind of taken over my guest bedroom. But thanks, Jaden, for that comment. For those of you who saw that, Jaden's a good old friend of mine from Miami, clearly making that comment in jest. I got my friends messaging me here on Messenger who saw the video I sent them before. There was a broken down car. They're telling me to go offer them $200 for it. I probably would, but every time I go to leave, something interesting happens. I've tried to go home several times now, and then I hear a new siren or someone yelling or something. You can see one person, again, I wish I could zoom in. All right, 10% battery warning, so I won't be here forever. I'll have to run home at that point and switch to my iPad. No, I can't do that. I don't know what I'm going to do then. I guess I'll have to leave for a bit. But one guy walking southbound here, again, something you just don't see every day. For those of you who have just tuned in, there is a protest here on 826, the Palmetto Expressway, which is really the main artery of Miami-Dade County. This highway kind of connects this entire city. It's more important than I-95. It's more important than the turnpike. And normally this time of day, you'd be seeing bumper-to-bumper traffic here, but it's barren, at least looking southbound from Coral Way area down toward Bird Road. But you can see where the bumper-to-bumper is. It's up here by Coral Way, and that's where this demonstration is taking place. Just when you thought Miami-Dade communities couldn't get any crappier. Well, Chi-Town, California, I mean, I'd say both Chi-Town and California are certainly a little worse to live in than Miami-Dade County. But that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm a little biased, but This is normally not the area you would experience this kind of stuff. I mean, this is where I live. It's a good area, and not to say that this is a crime type activity. Certainly, in a sense, it is. It's against the anti-rioting bill here in Florida, but you know, normally this is a quiet area is what I'm trying to get at. You don't see this kind of activity. So definitely an interesting day here in Miami-Dade County. And it's been an interesting month. We've had the unfortunate Surfside Tower collapse there. And here we are now with this massive protest taking place. I took the bus in Chicago. No way I wanted to deal with traffic and parking costs. Yeah, I can only imagine. Miami is a very car-dependent city, and this is where this really causes issues because this highway is used by, I'd say, most people who commute to work in Miami, regardless of where they live. Joe Perez watched a stream, for example. I'm sure he takes the Palmetto at least a few times a week. This is like the main artery of Miami-Dade. So to see it in this shape, it's crazy. And maybe for some of you who don't live in the area, this is like, okay, whatever. I know when there were protests happening in LA and stuff like that, I didn't think much of it because I have no personal connection with that city. But for those of you who do live here, you know how crazy it is to see this. And I wish I had started streaming earlier. I've taken a lot of video. I'll upload it. I'll have to edit it down because a lot of it's just me rambling like I am now with not much change happening. But the reason I didn't want to turn the camera off is every time I did, something interesting would happen. But now, because they've kind of shut down traffic flow onto the Palmetto, nothing's really happening. But all the buses are stuck. Joe, I saw that. I saw a lot of the buses trying to get back to the garage, which is up here on the right, and they didn't know where to go. You can see some, Joe, right below the Coral Way exit sign there that are still stuck, and he's been there for at least an hour. This guy here, backing up, pretty bold move in that big truck, but I guess what's he gonna hit? Just looks like Detroit freeways at 3 a.m. That's the thing about Miami. This road is never empty, and I live down the street, and I hear cars on this highway at all hours of the night, and that's the way it is. This is the central artery of Miami-Dade County. Without this road, there would not be a Miami-Dade County. This is one of the older expressways in Miami. It's been here at least 60 years. And this is probably one of the first. Certainly, again, when there are hurricane evacuations, you have situations like this. But I've never seen this. Both sides, north and south, completely shut down. Look at him. That guy is a boss. Backing that thing up all the way down the ramp. I don't know why he didn't just turn around and then go down it. I guess he's not really using his thinking cap. But again, anybody who's tuned in recently, give you the real brief summary. This is a protest taking place up ahead. You can see all the blue lights. Sorry I can't zoom in, but up by Coral Way here on the Palmetto Express lane. God, I've been talking too long. Expressway. No express lanes right now, I can tell you that. But they are protesting what is taking place, or not protesting what's taking place, they are supporting what's taking place in Cuba. And it's believed, I've heard from a few of my Cuban friends here, that the person who started this particular highway shutdown here today is protesting the Coast Guard not allowing him to take supplies to Cuba via boat for the people there. So whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. But what I can tell you with absolute certainty is this is probably the only time you'll ever see this in Miami-Dade County. And no one saw this coming. And that's, now things look kind of under control. Obviously, you've got bumper-to-bumper traffic, which you would have here anyway this time of day. But earlier, when I was just filming and not streaming, you had cars, some going north, some making U-turns. They have one state trooper manning the normal entrance ramp there off Bird Road, trying to direct traffic, and he was just in over his head. He couldn't even do it. You got this guy down here. He's got the Italian arms going, flailing around while he's talking on the phone like me. And he's walking up the highway, something you normally couldn't do, obviously. I hope you guys can hear me, by the way. Let me know if I'm covering the microphone. I've got a bad habit of doing that. But up here on the pedestrian bridge that connects Westchester to my area, Coral Terrace, just getting a look at this very weird sight to see, especially if you're from Dade County. This is not something you see every day. Appreciate that, Justin. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, good. I saw my fat hand. I thought I had it over the microphone. So again, protest up ahead, highway shut down. That's what's going on here. It is to show support for what's happening in Cuba, or it could also be related to the Coast Guard not allowing supplies to be brought by private citizens to Cuba. So say what you will about shutting down the highway to protest. Again, I'm not offering my opinion on that. I certainly have an opinion on it, but I'm going to keep it to myself. But yeah, you know, it's funny you say that, Jaden. I mentioned earlier, and I was just filming and not streaming, that I felt bad for all the old cars that were stuck in traffic. Fortunately for them, it is a pretty cool day out. It's maybe in the mid-70s. We've had a lot of rain and, you know, a lot of cloud cover, but there was a few cars that didn't make it, and they pulled over, they overheated, and they've all been towed out of here at this point. So kind of not much to see right now. I'll probably just keep streaming till my battery dies, which won't be long, unfortunately. But so this is the guy that was backing up. I guess that didn't work out for him, because now he's coming back this way. I feel real bad for him, because he could have gone out that way no problem 30 minutes ago. But they've obviously shut that down completely. Traffic seems to be moving okay on Bird Road, so, you know, I'm not sure where they're diverting everybody to. I've heard the Turnpike. That's where they're sending a lot of people to that would normally commute home on this highway. White shirt over here. I sound great. Wow, man, you're making me feel good over here, flattering me. White shirt's making his way up the expressway to see what's going on, I imagine. But you can see how many cop cars are up there. I don't know if I'd be doing that. I'll probably just send him right back where he came from before he sees anything. We've got one of the new networks up here. Looks like Local 10. And, yeah, my first live stream. I kind of like doing this. Maybe I'll do this more often, kind of off the cuff and no editing required. Those of you who watch the channel regularly will hear how much I actually talk. And I usually have to cut my videos down substantially because I talk too much. And the videos would be 2 hours long. We've got a Cuban supporter over here in that H3. He's got the flag hanging out the window. I'd have to guess he's probably going to try to come up here and hold the flag. Okay, Joe Perez, insider here in Miami, says 72nd Avenue just cleared up southbound, which is right by my house. So that's good to know, Joe, for those who need that information. Quite a view, yeah. You know, this is a spot that no one really knows about, this pedestrian bridge. Just one of those things that the city put up that nobody really asked for. It's actually been here for a long time, and there was a bridge before it. I think back in the 60s, it was intended to connect my neighborhood with this neighborhood, which used to be one before the Palmetto, although back then there really wasn't many houses even built yet. But no one ever comes up here besides to do the old traffic cone thing and, you know, put up campaign signs. But today people are discovering the spot. The Palmetto southbound through Doral is a parking lot. Yeah, see, I'm glad to see more Miami-Dade people tuning in because I love to hear what you're experiencing. I believe it. So you can see how weird the perspective is over here where there's literally nobody. And obviously that's because everything's shut down. So the traffic is going to be where you can't see it from this perspective. Used to cross that catwalk back in the day. Yeah, there you go, Paul. So people do use it, but not as much as it used to be used. You know, back in the day, in the 20th century, we had the old flea market, the drive-in movie theater, and where now the Target is. So I feel like it got a lot more use back then, but you can see this one Infinity somehow managed to cut through the blockade up there. And I see that every 5 to 10 minutes, a car or two gets through. There's one actually coming right now. So it's interesting. And really, from what I've been trying to get for information, I've got friends that are Miami-Dade cops. I've got friends that are their relatives that work in the media. I'm trying to get more information. There really isn't much out there aside from the fact that there's demonstrators who have completely blocked off the expressway at Coral Way. I'm not sure why they chose Coral Way. These are Cuban demonstrators, and kind of the Cuban, I mean, there's Cubans all over Miami, but really where their area is, if you had to call one, their area is Tamiami Trail, Cayocho, which is just north of Coral Way. So interesting that they chose Coral Way. Maybe it was ease of access to get on the highway. Maybe it's more difficult over at 8th Street to just jump up on the expressway versus Coral Way. I did see a video posted by local media of some of them jumping up on the highway, and there's a pretty low chain link fence. They were just jumping right over it. So that could have been the reason, but it's just weird for me to see this. My area, I mean, while certainly we have our issues from time to time, usually don't see anything like this. Really in Miami-Dade as a whole. LA, you've always got protesters and highway shutdowns and things like that. Miami-Dade, not so much. So it's been a crazy month for us here. We've had the Surfside Tower, the condo tower collapse, Champlain Tower South, and now this. So I don't know what's going to come of this. I don't know what the demonstrators are looking to achieve from this. I mean, I imagine part of it is awareness for what's going on in Cuba. And perhaps, like I was saying before, that they're unable to boat supplies to their home country, which was what they were trying to do yesterday. The Coast Guard turned them around. Maybe they're trying to get, hello. It's crazy, huh? So, yeah, it's got a lot of people surprised, as you can hear. Those of you just tuning in, I hate to keep repeating it, but when I watch live streams, it seems to be kind of the conduct of the live stream. You have to let people know what's going on. We're here in Miami, 826 Palmetto Expressway, completely shut down for a protest. This is a first for sure. And this is kind of the main artery of Miami-Dade County. So to see it like this is very eerie, to say the least. I'm up here kind of in a hidden spot, a little pedestrian bridge that connects my neighborhood to Westchester. And, okay, Joe. Joe Perez chiming in a little political commentary there. I won't comment, but you know I love you, Joe. So anyway, you can see totally bottlenecked up by Coral Way. I've been here for hours now. I work from home, heard the helicopters. And whenever I hear helicopters, usually at least once a week, we had a shooting last week near my house. But this is not a bad area by any means. But you've always got some kind of activity. It's still the city. And so I usually come out to see what's going on. I noticed they were all hovering over the expressway. So I walked over here, and this is the scene. I try to keep the camera in focus. I don't know how well you guys can see on your end, but there is at least 20, 30 police cars up by Coral Way, where these demonstrators are, and there's a whole bunch of them lined up against the sound barrier wall there on my left up ahead with their lights not on. So you've got at least 60 units, I'd say, quite the turnout from all different departments who are here to, I don't know what they're doing at the scene. You could certainly tune into some Miami news stations. You got a Miami-Dade cop coming now. He's just meeting up with this undercover right here. But I'm not sure what they're doing at the scene. I mean, they obviously haven't cleared this demonstration out because it's been, at this point, 4 or 5 hours, and, you know, it's still completely blocked off. Joseph, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. So I don't really know exactly what they're doing to handle this. Yep, you're absolutely right. And again, we're all in support of that for sure. Another Miami-Dade cop coming in. So like someone just commented, this protest is about Cubans back home in Cuba in their country finally, you know, saying enough is enough with their communist regime and protesting over there and hopefully overthrowing it. But here in the United States, in Miami, we have this demonstration taking place in the Palmetto here in 826. And I've heard, you know, a couple different reasons why. I've heard it's because the Coast Guard will not allow boats, private citizen boats, to go to Cuba and bring supplies to help the people there. That's what I heard from one of my Cuban friends. I've heard this is just to raise awareness for what's going on in Cuba. Whatever it is, save the Palmetto, Paul. Yeah. Although really, you know, we do need the Palmetto. It's kind of a necessary evil. It's the road that's always been under construction, at least my entire lifetime. But really, in a perfect world, it would just disappear because I live right over here. And the video is very clear. I'm glad to hear that. As you can see, as I was saying, though, I live right next to the Palmetto. So it's convenient when I'm going somewhere, but it's annoying to hear it otherwise. And I didn't really know that would be an issue when I bought this house. I used to live further inland. And so, yeah, the Palmetto and I have a love-hate relationship, but it's interesting to see it like this. And again, you can see the occasional people coming up here to take a look. There was actually media up here earlier, so you may see me in that shot. You never know. Looking like a bum as usual. So, again, Palmetto shut down. Not much to see at this point, at least from this perspective. Earlier, this was the spot to be because you had traffic actually on the Palmetto. Southbound's been shut down for a long time. Okay, here we go. Here's something to see here. It sure does, huh? You can see we have some supporters. Yeah, Justin, I agree. I would love to, but I also don't want to end up in jail tonight. I wish this would focus. Let me see if I can get between the links here. Okay, look to the left. You'll see some Cuban Americans, I imagine. You can see they have the American flag and Cuban flags, and they're walking up what would be the southbound side of the Palmetto to show their support for the demonstrators up there. I'm not sure if they'll get that far. You can see there's a lot of police up there, but being that the police have not removed the demonstrators yet, they probably won't remove them either. Big Al, what new cars do you have? And also, what do you think about the Randy and Mike? So it's funny you say that. I was watching that earlier today, and I think Randy said it pretty well. I love both the guys. Let me just say that. I've actually, over the years, been friendly with both. But Randy, he made one comment. There's always two sides to every story, and that's true. You know, and for those of us just watching from a third-party perspective, we don't really know. I mean, Mike has admitted to some things, Randy has admitted to some things, but it's YouTube drama. I hate to see it. They're both, I think, good guys. We all have our imperfections and our personalities and things. And Joe Perez says, 6 o'clock news is over. Open it up and let us go home. Yeah, Joe, I've been saying all day, I can't imagine. And that's very true. 3 sides as well. But again, that's my take on it. Really isn't my business, obviously. They've made it all of our business by putting it on YouTube. Protesting is a freedom. Yes, that's kind of my opinion on it, Brian. You know, freedom of speech has its limits. And, you know, for example, you can't go into a crowded movie theater and yell fire. That's been long established in the courts. But, you know, it seems like the law isn't really that clear on shutting down expressways. Personally, I don't support it, but I'm also not Cuban. So it's hard for me to imagine the emotion that Cuban Americans feel right now in the city, seeing what's happening in their home country. I know some of my best friends are Cuban, and they're just, you know, they're in tears. You know, they've been in tears all for the past couple of days at what's going on, and they love to see it. Not necessarily this, but what's going on back in Cuba. So sometimes when emotions run real strong, you get things like this, for better or for worse. But yeah, my personal opinion is, you know, shutting down the expressway, you're kind of turning people against your cause. And I'm not necessarily saying me, again, don't put words in my mouth. I'm just, you know, from an objective perspective, I saw a lot of people when there was traffic earlier getting out of the car, screaming, these effing Cubans, blah, blah, blah. So what do they think the U.S. can do? They'd like to see the U.S. get involved overthrowing the regime, but obviously it's not that simple. Yeah, no, Joseph, I believe you, but I've never seen this in Miami, at least for a riot. Kind of actually with some of the more politicized protests last year. It might have been Antifa, one of those organizations. Again, I don't want to say because I can't remember which, but there was a shutdown on I-95 here in Miami. But here we are on the Palmetto. Again, to me, a much more important artery of the city than I-95 or the Turnpike, with a complete shutdown, as far as I know, at least south of Coral Way. You just saw there more state troopers arriving on the scene. And guys, just so you know, my battery gave me a 10% warning like 30 minutes ago. So at any point, this could cut out. And I apologize if and when that happens. At that point, I'll just run home and charge it up for a little bit and come back. But I think at this point, there's not going to be much to see. But I'll let the battery run out just in case. Every time, I've been here for hours now. I live down the street. I work from home. So I started hearing sirens and helicopters. I always do. I came out to see what was going on. I could tell they were hovering over the Palmetto. And so I came out here to see, being a little bit of a nosy body. And again, living in my neighborhood, I have kind of this cool pedestrian bridge here. The only one, as far as I know, that goes over the Palmetto. Why have they not been shot yet? Well, again, I'm just reading the comments as I see them. I'm not giving my opinion on that. I certainly think that's a little too far. You know, maybe arrested is one thing, but again, not going to offer any type of opinion. This channel is never going to be or meant to be political. Just thought you'd all find this interesting. And again, a lot of my, so now they're coming, interesting. So now we got those two state cops, sirens blaring, and they're heading southbound on the northbound side of the Palmetto. A third one on the southbound side. Headphone users, beware. It's gonna get loud. And they're just roaring back to Bird Road here. So I wonder what just developed that caused them to detour out. Very interesting, this whole situation. And again, I have a lot of people in Dade County and even in Broward who watch the channel, so I figured that's the state police, Chi-Town, Florida State Police. You're quite welcome, Hyde. I almost thought it said Heidi. But I figured, you know, again, I find it interesting, certainly, you know, when things are taking place in my city, I look to YouTube for live streams like this, get a little more of a realistic view of what's going on versus the media. But at least where I'm at this point, it's getting pretty quiet. And again, I guess the timing is good because my battery's on its last leg here. I don't even want to touch the screen to see what's at because it's my first time live streaming and I'll probably mess it up. So I'll just have the suspense that the battery could die at any minute. Better coverage of Channel 7. I appreciate that, Paul. One of the networks is up there in the sky. Sorry about the lack. This chain link fence is messing up the focus, but Joseph, I appreciate that. I'm not going to say what my line of work is, but it involves a lot of talking. So I'm used to talking a lot, and that is always an issue when I make my videos because I talk too much. But again, just covering this kind of homegrown coverage here. 826 Palmetto Expressway completely shut down. You can just see all the traffic now. It's diverting through my neighborhood, probably off Coral Way. Protests going on. Cuban protest, either to show solidarity for what's happening in Cuba, or it's protesting the Coast Guard. That's what I've also heard, for not letting private citizens take boats to Cuba to bring supplies. So again, I don't know which one it is. It could be completely unrelated to both of those. Definitely something Cuban related because there's a lot of Cuban Americans out there with flags. But it's, you can see the traffic is actually finally starting to, I mean, it's still backed up, but little by little cars are able to exit onto Coral Way, I assume. Now I've been here for hours now. And as I've said many times, I heard the commotion from my house down the street, and I knew I could tell it was over the Palmetto. I could see where the copters were from my yard. I knew I could get a good perspective from this pedestrian bridge. But you can see now, when I was here earlier, this was all backed up and messed up, and cars were turning down the wrong lane, going down the entrance ramp there to exit. There's one state trooper who was trying to direct traffic. It just wasn't going his way. Geez, I don't know. He must have been going nuts, but eventually they got everybody off and they shut it down completely north and southbound.